This was the cradle of aquatic civilization dating back thousands of years, and their descendants still populate the lake shores, trying to make a livelihood as their ancestors did. But much has changed. We're here to investigate the crisis lurking in the deep, just how sullied, despite appearance, the water is, and the human cost of that contamination. With the help of scientists from the University of Nairobi's Department of Public Health and Toxicology, and collecting samples from the lake shores in Muhuru Bay to Jinja, where the Nile begins its journey to the Mediterranean Sea, we set out to find out how man's poison has weakened the pulse of East Africa's blue heart. Local fishermen like Michael Otieno have a harder time finding anything at all. The degraded quality of the lake's waters has made it that much harder for fish to breed. The most cherished fish, the tastiest and the most valuable, have disappeared.
It's not good enough now that the lake is very dirty and the shoreline is also very muddy. So fish like tilapia cannot find room to breed because they need shallow, sandy, sheltered bays to breed. So with that, without breeding, then no restocking. So let's fish. So what we have now in the Gulf is kamongo, the lungfish. So when you find kamongo, the lungfish, like what I've told you, you only find it where it is dirty. Now we have lost labeuningo. We have lost fuane. Those are the local names for them. We have lost mbiru. We have lost so much species of fish. In fact, if you asked the people that used to fish before we came, they will tell you they have lost over 20 species of fish.
I'm Christopher Aura, Assistant Director Freshwater Systems Research, and also the Center Director, Kenya Marine and Fisheries Research Institute, Kisumu. Now, as ChemFree, we undertake research involving water and the fauna. The health of the lake, as I would say, it's in a deteriorating state. And of course, from a layman point of view, you can look at the water transparent, the way the water is looking. From the water color will tell you what is the status of the lake at that point. In the years 2000, we used to have about 2,000 tons of fish, or it was in the neighborhood of 169,000 tons. But we have had a 28% decline of fish catch. And right now, on average, we are having about 115,000 tons of fish.
Their research helps explain why the lake's native bounty, including the much sought-after tilapia, known locally as ngege, has been dying out, and how man's hand wrote their doom.
We are seeing more of tilapia being affected when we are talking about invasive species, water pollution, among others. And as you understand, tilapia is the most important, cherished delicacy.
The lake is dying, and the humans, much more than the perch, are the villains.
77 ilikuwa samaki nyingi kabisa, kwa maana maji ilikuwa safi. Na siku hizi hakuna samaki because of dirty of water.
The lake is the soul of the city, but the city casts a large shadow over the lake and its future. The people have been sucking the life out of it.
This heritage that God gave us in terms of Lake Victoria, how are we looking after it? And to what extent can we safeguard it for the future? You remember the biblical story, the man who gave some of his servants different talents. We were given this lake, the second biggest freshwater lake in the world, and we are just not looking after it properly. When God comes and says, "Where is my lake?" we say, "Here it is."
Industrial pollution, untreated sewage, and the still widespread practice of open defecation have made this stretch of the lake a toxic soup, teeming with evil.
By the look of it looks like we have very high algae It's known that green algae would actually be resulting from very high nitrogen levels and phosphorus, which essentially would be coming from organic waste. And organic waste, of course, would be generated from human activities. We will test the water for microbial contamination that, of course, will be coming from sewer, untreated sewer or directed discharge, and chemical waste that may be coming from industries.
We took samples on the lake along the industrial stretch that houses Equator Bottles, the franchised bottlers of Coca-Cola in Kisumu, to the Kenya Pipeline Company.
We pick the water and test it at that level, but we will move a little bit deeper and pick the sediments. Now, sediments will help us to look at the over a longer time because it will accumulate. These chemicals will accumulate in the sediments. So when we take sediments, we're able to pick a better picture of what has been happening over time. We are also picking aquatic animals. And in fish, the most important thing we will test are the chemicals, because fish are known to accumulate chemicals.
Well, a whole lot of problems is what River Kisat brings into the lake. Indeed, the river is troubled from source. A swamp east of Kisumu that has now been cleared to make way for maize and sorghum fields to the mouth, where it drains its grime into the lake. Further downstream, the river meets another slimy flow, an evil-looking black from the city's water treatment plant, run by the Kisumu Water and Sewerage Company, Kiwasco.
These are the things that annoys me, you know, because Kiwasco is our company. And sitting on the board of Kiwasco is the Minister for Finance, the Minister for Water and Environment, and the city manager.
Franchised bottlers of Coca-Cola in Kisumu was one of those flagged. A team of inspectors from the regulator, the Water Resources Authority, the Kenya Marine and Fisheries Research Institute and Kiwasco investigated allegations that the company was discharging effluent directly to the lake. Also of concern was the waste from the East Africa Seafood Limited, a company that processes Nile perch from the lake for export and imports tilapia and other fish from China, and Kibos Sugar. Their vision to be the home of simple sweetness and the reality seem to flow in different directions. Relations between the company and locals have simply soured over the future of River Kibos.
Going to the river, we must go undercover. This I took before going to court. This is the river. This is the factory.
At the outset, Benson Ambuti Adega cuts the image of a firebrand revolutionary. He is leading the crusade to save Kibos River from the alleged pollution by Kibos Sugar Company.
Are you going there?
At times, he claims, at great risk to his own life.
You can't use that water. That water is smelling. Can you even wash your hand with the smelling water? I was born in this area. We used to take that water directly from the river. We do grazing with the same water. Right now we can't use it. We depend on the pipe water, which sometimes it bursts. You can't access it.
Filed a civil suit at the Environment and Land Court in Kisumu against the Kibos Industries for failing to comply with NEMA regulations on effluent discharge, and against the National Environment Management Authority and the county government of Kisumu for failing to stop the company's operations.
They don't represent the community. We had been crying no one to come out. So I decided as a man, with a single hand, I talked to my legal team. I talked to them, they are doing for me pro bono petition. This is a matter of life and death. If we can't protect our environment, we don't have future generation. We are not against any investor in our community. We are happy with the investment, but they have to follow the right procedure. I'll deal with this thing to the end. Whether it will take my life, but I will save the life of our future generation.
We took samples of the effluent from the factory to find out for ourselves what is veiled in the troubled waters. All this slime that drains into the lake allows the toxic algae and other invasive plants to flourish, cutting off the oxygen supply for all other forms of life. And so this prized asset has been deteriorating, and its treasure trove of diversity is nearly gone.
In all the areas that we sampled, in all the rivers, in all the various parts of the lake, at different depths. All the samples contains one or more of the toxicants that we are looking for. I can authoritatively say that based on what we found, the lake contains chemicals and bacteria and other disease-causing organisms, which would be of very serious concern, considering the high increase in incidences of many diseases. Cancer today has become a very serious problem. People don't know where it is coming from, but as a toxicologist, I can say without doubt that some of these chemicals are responsible for the increase in those diseases.
And a freshwater lake is much easier to clean of affluents if we are serious. I don't think the situation can be allowed to go on as it is today, because I think there's a very renewed vigor, both in the national government and the county government, in fact in the regional environment as a whole, to ensure that we don't let the lake decay.